Hare Purusha Samavajami Govinda Hare Purusha Samavajami Govinda Hare Purusha Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Bliss. Shila AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivashakacharya Ashrata Shatashi Shimaji Bliss. Virabhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Namsa Gosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shrivedam ki jai, Maturadam ki jai, Madama ki jai, Gangama ki jai, Bhakti Dev ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Tribo, all glories to the Samo devotees, all glories to the Samo devotees, all glories to the Samo devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Lord, speak to our spiritual master, the only way of the days during the devotional service. I bow down to his own speak with great honor and by his grace, one can approach the ocean of your suffering and obtain mercy of Krishna. All the wishes to heaven and conscious and purified by the words emanating from his own mouth. The touchment of his own feet is a perpetual food in his own desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendent knowledge. He is my Lord of the bird, ecstatic permanent evidence. My ignorance destroy the Vedic scriptures, sing of its character, our spiritual mastery, and the ultimate mercy, the friend of the poor, and the master of the devotees. All masterpieces merciful of the last Evas, the sheet of your speed, your fame will spread all over the three worlds. Your property, Jai. Chant.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari All glory to the all glories to the assembled glory. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Continuing the introduction to the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam Delhi edition by His Divine Grace A. C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. This coincidence of the Lord's appearance and occurrence of the lunar eclipse make it clear about the mission of the Lord. The mission of the Lord was to preach the importance of chanting the holy names of the Lord in this age of Kali, quarrel. The present age is meant for quarrel even on trifle things, and therefore the Shastras have recommended for this age a common platform of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Accompanied by melodious music, people can hold meetings for glorifying the Lord in their respective languages, and if such performances are executed in an offenseless manner, it is sure and certain that such persons will gradually attain spiritual perfection without any efforts to undergo any other rigid methods. In such meeting, everyone, the learned and the fool, the rich and the poor, the Hindus and Muslim, the Englishman and the Indian, or the Chandala and the Brahmin, all can give an oral reception to the transcendental sound and thus purify the dust accumulated on the mirror of one's heart by unwanted association of material surroundings. And to confirm the Lord's mission, all the people of the world will accept the holy name of the Lord as the common platform for universal religion of the mankind. In other words, the advent of the holy name took place along with the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master, with divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has opened my darkened eyes for the truth of the knowledge. I humbly offer my basic assistance before the streets. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasti, Vanasti. Yes. There is no other way to attain perfection in this age of Kali than to chant the names of Hari. So, Lord Chaitanya appeared 1486, and along with him, the holy name appears. The holy name is always there, but in order for the holy name to be effective, it must be delivered by a pure devotee. The milk is a very nutritious ingredient, very nutritious beverage. But when it is touched by the lips of the snake, that same beverage turns into poison. So, as far as possible, we should avoid hearing the holy name from non-devotees. That creates the opposite results. Sanatana Goswami says that don't be foolish just because there's some harikatha. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bona fide association. The speaker or the devotee, deliverer of the holy name must be a pure devotee, one who does not follow the regular principles of Bhakti Yoga, we should not hear from him. So, hearing is so essential in the process of perfection. Before we chant, we have to hear. That is automatically included in that instruction. The only way is to chant the Holy Name. But before we chant, we must hear the Holy Name. It's like that very shloka, we hear in that shloka from someone. So hearing is first. Hearing is the topmost essential. And if the hearing is done in a bona fide way, with sincerity, then the chanting will also be pure. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he recollects his meeting with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada said that, oh, I was hearing my Guru Maharaj. I did not understand. He was speaking so sophisticated language. But I simply sat down and I heard. I wanted to understand. I did not understand, but I wanted to understand. That's why I went on. And I continued hearing, although I couldn't understand. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur noted, oh, this boy, he likes to hear. I'm going to make him my disciple. Bhaktisiddhanta was so pleased. So Prabhupada says, one who hears nicely, he chants nicely. This is the whole secret of success. One who hears nicely, he chants nicely. So, if you want to hear nicely, there must be two conditions fulfilled. And that is exemplified by Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami was a bona fide speaker, bona fide devotee, right? He does not adulterate the text simply to suit his agenda. He repeats the message as it is. No concoction, no addition, no subtraction. As it is. And the hearer also must be bona fide. And with a little bit we touched upon that subject. What is the qualification of disciple? He must be serious about solving the real problems of life. Birth, death, old age, disease. Yes, I don't want to die. Why should I die? It's uncomfortable. It's unnatural. Nobody wants to die. But very few are willing to make a solution to this problem. They become so much alert, hypnotized by the sense objects, by sense gratification, material enjoyment, that they push this real problem on the side. Oh, I have to pay my bills. Oh, I have to, I have to quarrel with my wife. Oh, I have to secure education for my children. Oh, I have to, eat, sleep, and so on and so on. So, what bills will you pay when you leave your body? Who's going to pay the bill when you leave the body? It's irrelevant. See? So, a genuine disciple is trying to solve the real problem. Tasmat Guru Prapadita, Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. He must be inquisitive, Jigyasu, about the Shreya Uttamam, the ultimate goal. So, if this combination is found, the bona fide speaker, bona fide disciple, then there is success. There is reaction, bona fide association. So, Prabhupada explains here what is actually the Hare Krishna movement all about. What is the vision of Lord Chaitanya? It is not that we chant here alone and consider to be the outcast of the society, some weird cult. No, Prabhupada says here, and to confirm the Lord's mission, all the people of the world will accept the holy name of the Lord as the common platform for universal religion of mankind. It is the universal religion of mankind. We should understand the great honor to be in touch with this movement, Krishna consciousness movement. It is now in the budding stage, like a small flower, a little bud. So it hasn't sprouted yet fully. It's sprouted by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, but not fully. Srila Prabhupada gave us some instructions. So these instructions, they need to be fulfilled. A bona fide representatives of Srila Prabhupada need to be created. We should become the bona fide representatives, and in exchange, to fulfill the debt's obligation to the spiritual master, we should in turn change others or make others the representatives of the bona fide initiating spiritual master. So this is very important. Unless we understand this responsibility, the Krishna consciousness movement cannot spread. So the spiritual master, we should hear from him. He is the pure devotee. We should hear the instruction. When it is mentioned that one should hear the holy name from the lips of a pure devotee, it is not limited to kirtan or japa, just like Prabhupada has this japa recording. It is not limited to just chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The instructions of the Acharya on the process of bhakti is also considered to be kirtana or chanting or the extension of the holy name. Prabhupada said that these songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas, Samjaya Radha Madhava, and so on and so on, these are the extensions of the Mahamantra. They are the extensions. They're not different from the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You should not make a distinction. Well, this is just Jaya Radha Madhava, so I'm going to be an exempted. It is not different from Kirtan. It's the same thing. And similarly, the instruction, the Krishna Katha on the holy name, that is also the holy name. That is also the expansion of the holy name. Unless we hear these instructions, how will we develop service attitudes? I mentioned that yesterday. Along with the chanting, we have to develop service attitude. Otherwise, the holy name will not reciprocate. Because we do not want to reciprocate. Right? We simply want to take advantage of the holy name to water our dirty things, support Krishna, get Krishna's support for our whimsical desires. When we utilize Krishna as our servants. So, not like this. We have to become the servants of Krishna, the servant of the holy name, the servant of the instructions of the Acharya. So, yes. In this way, if we understand the instructions and we pass them on to others, we become the extensions of the spiritual master. Very easy to understand. The spiritual master Prabhupada is there in his books, but he desires to extend himself into many, many, many different gurus, different spiritual masters. It is not a great deal to become a spiritual master. Not something that you have to go to university or anyone can become a spiritual master if we understand this principle. Let me repeat what the spiritual master said. As it is, without adulteration, without speculation, what I can speculate, what I can manufacture in the factory of my imagination. So let me just hear attentively, let me understand. If there is some doubts, I should immediately bring it in the class. I should clarify, I do not understand this. What does it mean? I have a doubt. Is it really true? How can this be? How is it possible? We should do constantly. In this way, we develop nice faith based on sane, sound, logical knowledge, not sentimental. Sentiment will not last. One time I feel enthusiastic, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then the next day, such a drag, I'm so tired. Udarani prasad. So that will not save us, the sentimental platform. We have to understand scientifically, oh, this is good for me. Not just good, this is the only thing that I should be doing. So, along with the chanting, see, chanting is also preaching, right? Makes sense. We should also hear. In the material world, everyone is very much inclined to preach. Although sometimes, you know, you say, oh, I don't want to preach. Actually, everyone is very much inclined to preach. Speak something, say something. Why is that? Why is everyone inclined to speak and preach and instruct? Ramachandra Prabhu, he made some research, right? That only 30% of what we hear from others, we actually hear. 30%? Is it 30%? 30%, imagine. That we have conversations, and only 30% of what you say to others, they actually capture. The rest, 70%, they don't hear. So, it's horrible, very impersonal relationships. So, why is it? Why are we so much inclined to speak and not that much inclined to hear? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, I mentioned the quote yesterday. I don't know if you remember the shloka, and not, but Prabhupada explains in the purport that the Kanishtari Kari is a verse to hear. It's a verse. Yes, exactly. Yes. Our original disease is that we want to be God, we want to be controller. That's why we're in this material world, so we can exercise that physical desire. So, how do we fulfill this controlship propensity? How do we control? How do we control material objects? How do we control? How do we manipulate matter? Moving it around, yes. Grossly, with the hands. Yeah. Now, Prabhuji, if you could just hand me that stuff. Yes. Okay. So now, what happens is that I control the person. See? The book will never hand me, or the cup will never come on its own. But if I want to control a person, I control through sounds. Prabhu, can you hand me? You see? So, this speaking, actually, Prabhupada also says that everything is based on sound. This house, the origin of this house is a sound. At one point, someone said, let's make a house in this village. They don't know. Right? Unless someone said this, nothing would actually manifest. The building itself, the gross manifestation, the workers, this is just the consequence. At the beginning, the roots is sounds. You see? So why we're so much inclined to speak? Because we want to control. We want to control people. That's the best. Because people will control the material elements for us. We don't have to handle them grossly. The Shudra, for example, the Shudras, the workers, they do not have that capacity. So they try to lord it over matter with their hands and menial work. But as you go higher, see, for example, the Vaishya, you mentioned, purchase it. See, how much it is Vaishya? See? And through money, you can pay the workers. And then a little bit higher than that, the Kshatriya, right? By force. By force, yeah. But also through politics. diplomacy, like that. Politics. It's a little higher intelligence than the Vaishya. Vaishya doesn't deal with politics. And then the highest, the Brahman, right? Brahman doesn't do anything. He just sits down and he speaks. Right? So of course the Brahman is not supposed to have this. You should transcend this, loading it over propensity. You should understand, I have this great knowledge. Let me inquire about the absolute benefit. Why should I control this matter? It's pointless. So, yes, this is why we don't want to hear. And if we want to become devotees, humble service attitude, then this we have to rectify. We should not just hear, but we should be eager to hear. There's a difference. Hearing and being eager to hear. Maharaj Parikshit, you mentioned Shushruta. He was Shushruta. It means that he was very eager to hear. Now, why? Because he was just about to die. It was 7 days before his death. So he understood. The bills are nonsense. Family relationships are nonsense. My eating is nonsense. Everything is nonsense. Because this is all for the body. But this body, I'm going to leave now. So why should I invest so much energy contemplating how to maintain the body? Okay, this is intelligence. So Prabhupada says, Maharaj Parikshit had 7 days. 7 days. He knew. He got a hint. But we do not even have the guarantee that one day we will live. Anytime we can die. Anytime. There's no guarantee. So we should always contemplate, I'm mortal, I'm going to die, I'm subjected to death. Let me hear as much as possible. Let me hear as much as possible. Let me not waste time. Let me not waste time. We have to maintain the body and soul together, yes. We want us to do that. Unless you do that, you won't be able to hear. Right? Krishna says, one who eats too little, one who sleeps too little, he cannot perform yoga. But not luxury, not too much. We also have to talk a little pajampa sometimes for practical purposes, but not indulge, because our time is running out and we're wasting the mercy of this human form. So we have to become Shushruta, very eager to hear. And when one is eager to hear, then he will appreciate the association of the devotees. Unless he's eager to hear, he cannot appreciate. He cannot appreciate. Externally, he can appreciate, there's a nice culture, nice music, nice food. But actually, he's still thinking, I am the enjoyer. Devotees are worshipping Krishna, they talk about Krishna, they cook for Krishna, and everything. So, a Neophyte person, he comes to the temple and his first thought is that, I could be that Krishna. They're doing very nicely, so I could be that Krishna. They worship so nicely. So there's a long way. There's a long way until we actually appreciate devotee association. We have to become eager to hear. So that eagerness to hear comes with detachment. We have to become detached from this material sense gratification. That is not possible unless we have higher taste. We have to have some preliminary higher taste. Then we can develop a little detachment, just like we all have experienced, right? When we came to Krishna, we started chanting, and started reading Prabhupada's books. Immediately, the mundane association, the mundane movies, the mundane music, the mundane talks, they become very, almost painful for the heart. And almost painful. You lost attraction. So there's a preliminary high taste, preliminary detachment. You see, but it's not fully purified, that attachment. We're constantly coming back. Maybe I can make it in material worlds. As soon as we hit the doubts, see, we're going on without Krishna consciousness, all of a sudden some disturbance. Some devotee says something to me, or we preach and we no success, or the body, right, gets messed up. So we hit the doubts. Maybe, what if this is actually, just made up? We have this doubt. And then we look back, maybe mine is better. So we have to scientifically understand, no, it is not better. Even if I have disturbance, it is not better. It's never better. Because in the Maya, I'm serving the body. And I'm not the body. So my time is completely wasted by investing so much time in the body relationships. So I just want to read you, this chanting is not just that I chant, but I also hear. I hear the chanting. I'm the spiritual master, and I hear the other devotees. This is a portion from Chaitanya Charitamrita until 11 chapter 23rd verse. If one cannot complete a fixed number of rounds he is assigned, he should be considered to be in a diseased condition of spiritual life. Srila Haridas Thakur is called Namacharya. Of course, we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur, but everyone must chant a prescribed number of rounds. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have fixed 16 rounds as the minimum, so that the Westerners will not feel burdens. These 16 rounds must be chanted, and chanted loudly, so that one can hear himself and others. So Prabhupada gives instruction, he gives a hint how actually to chant nicely, how we can advance chanting, how can we be more attentive. We're discussing about the 10 offenses that a serious devotee, he becomes interested. Like, what are these 10 offenses? In order to avoid them, he becomes very eager, analytical mind. What are these 10 offenses? What is it? Okay, what is Vaishnava Parat? How do I offend the devotees? And most of the time we commit these offenses and we're not aware. And then all of a sudden we come to chant and it's very bitter. Actually, any time you offend a devotee, you lose taste. You can experience that. If you pay attention, you can actually experience it. Every time you offend a devotee, the next day your japa is very difficult. And if you treat devotees nicely, if you serve them nicely, you can feel the nectar, the chanting. So, Prabhupada says the 16 rounds must be chanted and chanted loudly. Loudly. Because why loudly? Does everybody know? Why? Because you hear, exactly. You should hear. And hear himself and others. Himself, you hear, and others. You see? What is the harm? Hearing others chanting japa. They're chanting the same holy name. There is no difference. If you hear someone else chanting and if you hear yourself, there's no difference. Actually, we're hearing the holy name. We're not chanting. A Neophyte devotee cannot chant the holy name. No. Because the holy name does not appear on the tongue of a person whose attention is split, who still has material desires. Krishna doesn't manifest fully. You see, just like if you love someone, you love them with your whole heart. Right? I love you, but I also go to a prostitute once in a while. What kind of love is that? Or some other woman, or some other man. That is not love. So, similarly, pure devotee, he doesn't have any other desire than Krishna. So that is not so easy to develop this kind of attitude in the beginning. The Neophyte devotees, they have all kinds of material desires. So Krishna doesn't manifest. But by chanting, we become qualified, we purify. Like Chetadharpana, cleansing the mirror of the heart. Actually, Prabhupada says it here. In such meeting, everyone, the learned and the fool, the rich and the poor, the Hindus and the Muslim, the Englishman and the Indian, or the Chandala and the Brahmin, All can give an oral reception to the transfer sound, and thus purify dust accumulated on the mirror of one's heart by unwanted association of material surroundings. The mind is like a sponge. Depending on our association, the mind sucks in information. And then you can see in your dreams, right? Whatever you absorb throughout the day, it appears in a dream. You have no control. No control. You're not in charge of your thoughts. So if we are in a good association, if we expose ourselves, even sometimes it's difficult, but if we expose ourselves to good association, the mind will set the good things. You see, and then even without your desiring, Krishna will appear in your minds. You see the secrets. You see, so chant loudly. Prabhupada also says, if mind disturbs, chant loudly. The sound is very powerful, especially the sound of the Holy Name. And hear yourself and hear others. See? Pay more attention to hearing the Holy Name than chanting the Holy Name. See? You want to perfect your chanting, then be careful so you pronounce all the words nicely, clearly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Not Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Rama Rama. Not like this. That is not good. You see? And hearing yourself and hearing others, there's no difference. Only in this one. Okay, so now a little bit more specifically. This is a letter to Andrea Temple from Prabhupada. Some devotee was there in Bahamas, and some devotees went there, and this devotee heard it, found them. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, Andrea. And he's asking Prabhupada whether he should preach, whether he should tell people to chant. So Prabhupada responds, yes. Whoever you tell the chant to, whoever you tell the chant to, the chant, the mantra, whoever you tell the mantra to, it is effective. You have heard it from me and my disciples. Similarly, I have heard it from my Guru Maharaj, and so on and on. Because you have heard it from a pure devotee of the Lord. Therefore, it is transmitted from you to another. Just as an aerial message is transmitted from one place to another, similarly, this Guru Parampara system is working. My disciples are my agents, my representatives. So by hearing it from them, you are receiving it from me. And because you are a sincere soul, those who are hearing the mantra from you are receiving it in disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya and from Lord Krishna. Letter to Andrea Temple, Los Angeles, 6th of March, 1968. So this is a very important letter. See, this rhythmic understanding that Prabhupada is the initiator Guru. And, when they distribute his books, and whenever someone asks you, say Prabhupada is the Guru. Why not the Guru? This is flawed. This is very much flawed. Prabhupada said that you're distributing my books. But are you reading my books? If someone asks you, will you read this book? The one you're selling, you reading? Can you tell me something? No, I do not read. I simply sell the books of my Guru Maharaj. So that doesn't look at all appealing to people. But, these devotees are following the spiritual master blindly. Right? That is a great discredit to the spiritual master. It's like they all say, oh, Prabhupada is the Guru, Prabhupada is the Guru, Prabhupada is the Guru. But is he your Guru? Is Prabhupada your Guru? You specifically, I'm talking to you. Is he your Guru? No. Because if he's your Guru, then he initiated you, right? And if he initiated you, then you should serve him. You should preach the message. You simply say, Prabhupada is the Guru, Prabhupada is the Guru. But what Prabhupada is saying, what is the message he taught you? What is that holy name he initiated you by that you do not share, that you do not preach? So what kind of disciple you are? What kind of disciple you are? You're nonsense. Bottleneck, right? You have the bottle, and then you have the neck of the bottle. So when you pour the water like this, what's going to happen? The neck blocks the flow of that water coming out of the bottle. So similarly, such a nonsense disciple, he is blocking the mercy. Prophet gave us so much, and we're blocking the mercy and engaging in some nonsense, fanatical discussions. Who is your guru? Whose guru is better? Neither the self-appointed Acharya needs this. Neither his disciples needs to re-emphasize again and again. This creates fanaticism, right? Only Jesus. Only Jesus. Our guru is the best. Only Muhammad. Our guru is the best. Guru is guru, wherever he's coming from. You are also a guru. There is no such discrimination. Whoever speaks the message as it is, the message of God as it is, he is a guru immediately. A small child can be a guru. You see, so here in this letter, Prophet says that the devotees who chanted on the instruction of the spiritual master, they're initiating. They also initiated others. They're awakening others. And otherwise, if this is not possible, if everyone has to be initiated by Prabhupada directly, then there's no question of spreading the Krishna consciousness. Okay. So, even a neophyte devotee, if he's following the principles nicely, he can inspire people, he can make others, he can reawaken their Krishna consciousness. In the Madhya Chaitanya Charitamrita, 23rd chapter, text 14 and 15, the word for words, Bhajana Kriya, this is the third stage, the different stages of elevation in Krishna consciousness. First is faith, Shwara, what is Hare Krishna is nice. Then Sadhu Sangha, it's like now, you were associating with devotees. And then when the Sadhu Sangha is matures, when it matures, then one voluntarily offers himself for initiation. Oh, I also want to, like the others, I also want to initiation. So, Bhajana Kriya, Prabhupada defines in different ways in different books, but I picked this one specifically because it refers to our topic today. He translates it as performance of devotional service to Krishna, brackets, surrendering to the spiritual master, and being encouraged by the association of devotees so that initiation takes place. So that initiation takes place. So the other devotees, they're very much important so that initiation takes place. We have the understanding of the Diksha Guru, right? And there's the Shiksha Guru. So, of course, we might not be elevated Shiksha Gurus. Prabhupada even said that we're the Shiksha Gurus in training. But nevertheless, the principle remains the same. The devotees who are following Srila Prabhupada, they become instrumental so that initiation takes place. They're assisting that initiation process. And without such bona fide devotee association, it's very difficult for people to accept a bona fide spiritual master, just, by reading these books. So there is another pastime of Lord Chaitanya which illustrates this point. I'm going to read, there's a portion in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The teacher of the Buddhist cult set forth the 9 principles, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke them to pieces with a strong logic. These 9 principles of Buddhist philosophy have been repeated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You can read about it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's radically explained. All mental speculators and learned scholars were defeated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when the people began to laugh, the Buddhist philosophers felt both shame and fear. Purport. Divine Bliss. These philosophers were all atheists, but they did not believe in the existence of gods. Atheists may be very expert in mental speculation and may be so-called great philosophers, but they can be defeated by a Vaishnava firmly situated in his conviction of God consciousness. Following the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the preachers engaged in the service of ISKCON to be very expert in putting forward strong arguments and defeating all types of atheists. You see? Prabhupada is desiring that we become very expert preachers. Not at all, I do not know. Simply ask my Guru Maharaj. You beg this Prabhupada, look, I don't know anything. That's nonsense. That is not bad. But we should advance from that platform. Next, the Buddhists could understand that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Vaishnava, and they returned home very unhappy. Later, however, they began to plot against the Lords. Having made their plot, the Buddhists brought a plate of untouchable food before Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and called it Mahaprasad. Purport. The word Apavitra refers to food that is unacceptable for a Vaishnava. In other words, a Vaishnava cannot accept any food offered by an Avaishnava in the name of Mahaprasad. This should be a principle for all Vaishnavas. When asked, what is the behavior of a Vaishnava? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, a Vaishnava must avoid the company of an Avaishnava, Asat. The word Asat refers to an Avaishnava, that is, one who is not a Vaishnava. Asat Sangatyak, a Vaishnava Chak. A Vaishnava must be very strict in this respect and should not at all cooperate with an Avaishnava. If an Avaishnava offers food in the name of Mahaprasada, it should not be accepted. Such food cannot be prasada because an Avaishnava cannot offer anything to the Lord. Sometimes preachers in the Krishna consciousness movement have to accept food in a home where the householder is an Avaishnava. However, if this food is offered to the deity, it can be taken. Ordinary food cooked by an Avaishnava should not be accepted by a Vaishnava. Even if an Avaishnava cooks food without fault, he cannot offer it to Lord Vishnu and it cannot be accepted as Mahaprasad. According to Lord Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Krishna can accept anything offered by his devotee with devotion. An Avaishnava may be a vegetarian and a very clean cook, but because he cannot offer the food he cooks to Vishnu, it cannot be accepted as Mahaprasad. It is better that a Vaishnava abandon such food as untouchable. When the contaminated food was offered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very large bird appeared on the spot, picked up the plates in its beak and flew away. Indeed, the untouchable foods fell upon the Buddhists, and the large bird dropped the plates on the head of the chief Buddhist teacher. When it fell on his head, it made a big sound. The plate was made of metal, and when its edge hit the head of the teacher, it cut him, and the teacher immediately fell to the ground unconscious. When the teacher fell unconscious, his Buddhist disciples cried aloud and ran to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for shelter. They all prayed to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, addressing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, and saying, Sir, please excuse our offense. Please have mercy upon us and bring our spiritual master back to life. The Lord then replied to the Buddhist disciples, you should all chant the names of Krishna and Hari very loudly near the ear of your spiritual master. By this method, your spiritual master will regain his consciousness. Following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advice, all the Buddhist disciples began to chant the holy name of Krishna congregation. When all the disciples chanted the holy name of Krishna, Rama, and Hari, the Buddhist teacher regained consciousness and immediately began to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. Purport. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that all the Buddhist disciples were actually initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. And when they chanted, they actually became different persons. At that time, they were not Buddhists or atheists, but Vaishnavas. Consequently, they immediately accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order. Their original Krishna consciousness was revived, and they were immediately able to chant Hare Krishna and begin worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu. It is the spiritual master who delivers the disciple from the clutches of Maya by initiating him into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In this way, a sleeping human being can revive his consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. In other words, the spiritual master awakens the sleeping living entity to his original consciousness so that he could worship Lord Vishnu. This is the purpose of Diksha or initiation. Initiation means receiving the pure knowledge of spiritual consciousness. One point to note in this regard is that the spiritual master of the Buddhists did not initiate his disciples. Rather, his disciples were initiated by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they in turn were able to initiate a so-called spiritual master. This is the Parampara system. The so-called spiritual master of the Buddhists was actually in the position of a disciple, and after his disciples were initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they acted as his spiritual masters. This was possible only because the disciples of the Buddhist Acharya received the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as one is favored by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a disciplic succession, one cannot act as a spiritual master. You should take the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the spiritual master of the whole universe, to understand how one becomes a spiritual master and a disciple. So, everyone can initiate, everyone can inspire people, but it is the duty of the disciple to bring those people we train to our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So, Srila Prabhupada is the Diksha Guru because he gives the methods, he gives a full explanation in his books. So, ultimately, the perfection of preaching is to connect people with Srila Prabhupada. Any questions? Yes?
How is it possible for a unified devotee to get purified if Krishna does not appear in his path? So,
Yes. You should hear.
just hearing.
Yes. Hearing submissively. With eagerness to hear. That is actually how he gets initiated, not by chanting. By hearing the chanting. If he simply chants without any instruction, that will not last. You can chant, everyone can chant, but it's just like you try to ignite a fire and simultaneously pouring water. So the chanting must be done under the guidance of the qualified spiritual master. Does it make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Isn't it?
So we chant, although Krishna is not fully present, we are offensive, but we chant on the order of the spiritual master. See? That is submissive hearing. The Prabhupada says, you do like this, if I do it, that means my hearing is submissive. And if I hear, and I do not do what the spiritual master says, that hearing is not submissive.
I mean, what I want to say, because if I'm hearing, then automatically I want to chant. Then
Not automatically. You have to make the decision. You have to open up. Not automatically, because that will be impersonal. Your freedom is always there. Yes. Okay. Krishna will never interfere. Even the Maha Mantra you can chant. If you do not make the decision, if you do not surrender, you can chant, you can worship Krishna. So that decision that, okay, yes, let me become submissive, that is the beginning of purity. You see? And that, if you simply go on, that will increase until all the material attachments they fall apart. So it's not that, well, I'm not pure and Krishna doesn't reciprocate, so I'm doomed. No. There's a way. And that decision you make, that is already purity. So Prabhupada, Mankanji was explaining that Prabhupada goes a deep. The devotee is imperceptibly liberated. Imperceptibly. He cannot perceive his liberation yet. But he made a decision. He got on the path to perfection. He's on the path. And we drive a car. If we get on the road, most likely we're going to get to Nitra. We're already on the roads. We have to go on. Go on chanting, go on hearing, go on serving. Okay? Any other questions? Yes.
As you mentioned, we should hear from the two devotees, not from anybody.
Yes.
So I would say, and also you mentioned that some kind of symptoms that even there can be some Vishakata, let's say, but that doesn't mean that it's necessary the Sadhusanta.
Yes.
So also there may be other symptoms like worshipping, discussing the Krishna, going on books and everything. But what can we do catch by which we can get know that it is not this true Sadhusanga?
Guru Sadhu Shastra. Guru Sadhu Shastra. You have to hear ultimately. By seeing the worship and this and that, you're not going to understand. By seeing, someone might make a big show and offering big tea lamp. But you have to hear what these devotees are saying. What is their understanding of Krishna consciousness? So when we meet with some other devotees, we discuss. We sit down and we discuss. Prabhu, what is your understanding? Is Srila Prabhupada still the spiritual master? You ask them. You establish your association. Firmly. If the devotee says, no, you need a living guru, then, just like you have nicely sat down, then you stand up, you say thank you, and you leave.
Someone may thank you, and some statements, even some.
So then go further. What does it mean? The many of these rhetoric, they say, yeah, Prabhupada, Diksha. They go on, July not let it, go on, simply speaking. And then in personal life, breaking all the regs, smoking joints, and wasting time on Facebook, just releasing their envy towards these people in ISKCON.
So that means that at one point actually they need to show that some contradiction.
Yeah, sooner or later. They must.
We just need to.
You have to hear. Mm-hmm. See, that's why I said that hearing is so important. Because through hearing you can understand everything. But we don't have that patience. We're not loaded over. We want to immediately control. And that's why we get. That's why we ended up in bad association. You see, we speak, and some bogus person, oh, you want that? Yes, I want it. Oh, come to my association. I will give you that. So preaching, yes, we should preach, but what will you preach if you do not hear? You see? We can't just go on like, Chant Hare Krishna, you are not this body, things we know for sure. We need a little variety. So if we do not read, then we are forced to speak of some mundane variety topics. That's why Prabhupada even said, why these books are here, the Vedas, to give us inspiration to think of transcendental topics, impregnate the mind, transcendental subject matters. If we do not hear, we can't speak of Krishna. Look at all these books Prabhupada gives, full of topics to discuss. So we should hear. Hear/read. As much as possible. Fill up your minds with Prabhupada's Vani. And then you will preach. You will not have to force yourself or push yourself. You will just like overflood like a fountain of nectar. You will overflood. You pour the nectar, Prabhupada nectar, into yourself, and then you just overflood. That's called preaching. Anantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Thank you for watching. Bye.